Welcome in, Chiefs fans, from an undisclosed location on the eastern seaboard. This is RGR, and you have a W to celebrate. I hope you guys are doing well. It is very late, and I appreciate you guys being in here. It is so late, in fact, that we are going to be sans one Daniel Harms because of the time zone. He cannot get used to this East Coast thing, and I think you guys recognize that. In fact, I think Jared has already pointed that out. So cheers. You guys are absolutely right. It's a tough one. Me and the family are on a bit of a trip here, a short duration. I see that there are super chats already. I'm going to take care of you guys, and I'm going to keep it short tonight. We're going to give you what you need to know and get you out the door because we all got to go to work tomorrow, right? So, hey, let's get after it. Like, sub, hit the bell, get the gear, do the stuff, all the things. Sigh of relief, right? That we can get this off of our chests. And I'm going to double check my mic because I want to make sure that it's coming through correctly. Okay, it is. That they got off the snide. And at the end of the day, we had to wait quite a long time for this in particular. But I think it ended up being worth it to see them have to go down and have to come back and have to get back into the swing of things to be who they are. It's been tough to watch, but it really felt like when they came out in the second half that they started off to be who they were. In fact, in my notes, and you members, looks like I messed up some of the permissions on some of them. So you guys have not been seeing my notes like you normally do. I will get that taken care of because that is super important to me. So we're going to get that done as well. But I literally wrote down here, I had zero red plays on the first drive of the second half of the offense. All green. And I literally wrote in my notes, the drive was everything that I talk about all the time. It was play call balance. It was making sure that you gave them something that sent them in a direction. You need misdirection. It was counter run. It was quick game. And it was the slant route in particular that this team can run. And Tyquan Thornton carried that away, and I think did a hell of a job making sure that he was taking advantage of what the defense was giving him and putting it out there. And that's what they had to do. So I'm pretty happy coming away. That drive in particular, I would try to break it down. Going to be a tough week for travel for me, but I will give you what I can give you, and Dan will be back, of course. I thought Tyquan obviously was a standout. Not a problem. So was my guy CRW. You guys have heard me talk about him for a while, and I appreciate everybody that was on X at the time. Big standout from him. And I think what's really important about that is that not only was he finally able to take the ball away from this defense and actually give the ball back to Mahomes and say, hey, go have another shot at it, figure your shit out. It also spurred Watson, and it spurred a number of guys that like, yes, this is what it feels like. This is what we can do. I think it helped the pass rush. You got good pass rush from George Karlaftis and from Chris Jones, and a number of other players contributed. And so it's starting to feel like it's starting to come together. Now, this wasn't an excellent opponent, but it was somebody that did give them a run for their money. And quite frankly, now you guys know why I wanted Cam Scadabo so bad. The kid he just won't quit. And it doesn't matter if you have the angle on him or you have the power on him. It just doesn't matter. Not the best running back in this last draft class, but my favorite, and I'm a little jealous, I got to tell you, for the Giants fans. That's okay. Nice to see a bunch of you guys in here. The regulars, our mods are in here. Gary's here. Dave's here. Cole's here. Angler, nice to see you. And Darius, nice to see you. I'm going to keep it kind of low. I'm not too loud tonight because some folks sleeping, but I'm going to get here into your questions so we can get those answered and get ourselves off to bed here pretty good. In the way back to on the Hotel to MetLife, I hope you had a blast. Well, what's up? And with pop and backwards movement on screens, I don't know. Looks like he blamed himself. He did. His third Mahomes thing again, saying that the two-play sequence, you're absolutely right. But there was something going on with the screen game all the way around. It wasn't just pops. Kels got blown up. I think Hollywood got blown up. They knew that Andy needed to get that back into the game plan, and they were prepared for it. So there was a little bit of hiding that needed to go on. I think Pops was a little hard on himself, but honestly, he should be. anytime you're in that position, your job is to secure the ball. It doesn't matter whether you make a catch or not. That ball could be live for all you know. So your job is the pass recipient, the running back in this case, is to take care of that ball. The fact that your quarterback has to run across the field and rip it away from a defender who has already recovered it and is able to do that to save the drive is incredible. That's the kind of Mahomes magic that we have not seen of late. It's been all fireworks. That's the kind of grit that you have to have in order to get these things done. So kudos to him. And I think Pops will figure it out. And hopefully they'll be back on the same page because that pass rush was getting to him too fast, too quick. They figured it out in the second half, and I think that made a big difference. So we'll have a good time, sleep well, and I hope you enjoy MetLife. Jordan, in a game where we needed to run the ball, open up the game in full lean into the opposite direction. What the hell's wrong with Andy and friends? Oh, I mean the offensive staff. Disgusting. Yeah, they did not take advantage. Yet they did come back. They got away from it. But in the end, Pops had 10 carries. Hunt had 10 carries. They had a couple for some other guys, including, I think, did they actually track Remigio as a carry? Yeah, Remigio was a carry on that jet action. You got to put more Remigio in here. He deserves to play more, and he can do more than just jet. He can do those whip routes. He can do all the quick game that you have to have. Excuse me. Also, by giving those guys 10 carries each, Hunt and Pacheco, they averaged together 7.9 yards a carry. Now, they ground on it, and they got more for their bang for their buck later in the game than they did early. But you have to grind on it. And the fact that Andy called 23 runs to 41 passes is pretty dang good. That's more than a third. It's honestly, this is about as much as I can ask for because he's never going to give me more than that. But it did pay off. And at least doubling down and getting back to that is what allowed them to get back in this game. Now, the emergence of Thornton is coming along pretty nicely, I think. I think Juju played a huge part in this game because he made some of those big plays that moved the chains or kept the drive going, or when Mahomes was in panic mode. And Patrick was trying to stay in the pocket more tonight. You could tell that he was made a consolidated effort to stay in the pocket and try to trust his guys, even though his guys were less trustworthy tonight than they were last week. That said, he needed to be bailed out a few times. Guys coming back, guys finding space. Juju did a lot of that because Juju's got it where it's most important right now, and that is up here. That led the way to get to the point where you could employ Taekwon, and I thought he stepped up to the plate rather well. You can make an argument about whether he should have caught that one over his head, but you give him 2 more shots at that, and I bet he does. So I think that's still a work in progress, but that was a sign of life that I really like. Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate you. Andrew, how much will Thornton play when Rice and Xavier return? That is a great question, and he is in the process of earning more and more and more. I don't know what the package will be, but there is going to be a package of he and Xavier and Rasheed on that field. Because if nothing else, you can go single back with Kels out there. You can run your forward concepts. And Xavier and Taekwon can run guys off and leave a bare field for Rasheed Rice and Travis Kelce to make hay. And I do believe that has to be a plan. Now, do you see as much Juju? You will. And you should. Excuse me. It's one of those days, folks. It's been a very long travel day for me. They should have different packages. I don't think you're going to see a huge drop-off for Thornton because I think he's earning the big playability, is earning him that time later. And I do think that it's going to be tough to take a lot of it off the field, but I do think there's going to be a time and place for Rasheed, Xavier, and Thornton to be your 11 and be your 3 receivers on the field at one time. I thought Hollywood did some good things tonight as well. It wasn't quite as much a focus point, but he got things done when he needed to. Andrew, thank you for the question. And yes, Jared, you were absolutely right on that. Let me get those out of there. Okay. Angler, thank you, buddy. Is no like Snead have to live with the penalties? He is right now. Very physical guy. He did get his fair share of penalties in college, but college lets you get away with everything. So it is going to be, at least for this season, it's definitely going to be like it felt with Snead, and maybe into next season as well. But then I think he will come out of it. He'll learn the little idiosyncrasies to A, not be so obvious, and B, not have to get in a position that you have to use those techniques and get that grabbing. So give him a little bit of grace, but he'll get there. Thank you, Angler. Appreciate you. Mr. Gooch, nice to see you. I didn't see Simmons the last couple of drives, but I thought he did well. Yeah, I was not paying attention to whether he came off. And, of course, PFS offline now. PFF's doing this weird thing where you can get the real-time stats like I usually do, but then they go into review mode and they close everything down so you can't see it. So as soon as the game ends, it went silent again. And up to that point, I had seen him out there every drive, so I don't think he lost a lot. But other than getting beat a couple of times, I think I captured it before we came on. And what did I have? It was Simmons had allowed one pressure at that point. I think it was the one that they called out on the broadcast, but it wasn't terrible and it wasn't like super overly aggressive. And I thought he settled down as well. So Gooch, I'm with you, and it's nice to see you, buddy. I hope you're doing good. And I think that he's dealing with that on back-to-back weeks with the Eagles front, and now with Burns, who's just been ripping it up the last couple of years. I think that's just more positivity for us, to tell you the truth. Mr. Gooch, don't be a stranger. It's nice to see you. Hanneman, nice to see you, and thank you. Something's up with past wrist still. I don't know. It looked like a little bit of something was there, but it wasn't like super drastic tonight. So we'll see like what he's like in the next few days. I would not be surprised to see him on the injury list yet again, but it doesn't look like it's going to slow him down any. I do think there's probably something there lingering, but obviously he can still control the ball. He can still deliver the ball. I'm worried that some of the pumps and the holds are putting undue stress on that, and maybe he needs to knock that off a little bit, which is fine by me because I think sometimes that gets a little dramatic. But he said, but Hannon also said he had some good throws to Thornton and otherwise was underthrowing a lot. You're absolutely right. And I'm hitting the wall pretty hard here, folks. So I will say this. Thornton, Juju, Hollywood did a good job. Noah Gray did a good job. And I thought a couple of those were kind of like flicky type throws. He even tried to go really low sidearm to Noah once on a screen because the screen had been blown up. And I think some of those like motions where you're turning the wrist, I think those are what that might aggravate because the wrist because the stability of the joint itself, it's so complex. Anytime you're tweaking and twisting and trying to deliver power, that's something that's probably going to give you some aggravation. So just not as deep as right. And honestly, that one underthrown ball, if it had been laid out there, that's a score as well. Thank you, Henry. Darkness, nice to see you, buddy. Thank you for the support. The call on Duffy and pass interference was trash. It was a clear forced fumble. McDuffie jammed his first 5 yards legally. The result was a forced fumble. Yeah, and there was a little bit of just like a tug, and there was another player that just had kind of like a hook that got called, and the other player was hooked as well, and so they weren't calling it very evenly, but every now and then you're going to get one of those, and I think it was Robinson that drew that penalty on McDuffie, and he is super quick, so every now and then Trent's just going to get out quick. It will happen. It doesn't happen a lot, but it will happen every now and then. So, black and gold, thank you. Appreciate the support. And this is what I was talking about before, and this is what I'd like to see going forward. And I've talked about CRW and his abilities as a safety, and he was a safety in college for a lot of times. Played nickel too, but he's got it in there. And so he's been in that space trying to take the ball away a lot. That's the difference between Jaden Hicks and Brian Cook and even Shamari Connor. They've all played down near the line of scrimmage in college, and so they're learning how to be super open space, like single high types, even though they're not running a ton of single high with them. They're learning that now, where CW has done it before. So I think that's really what the evidence showed right there on that play was. When he saw an opportunity, he had been in a similar situation before as a younger player, he was able to recognize and make that adjustment. I personally feel like after that play, and I'm going to go look at all the other single high snaps this week. I think CRW might become your best single high safety. And I think they have to look at it because dropping Jaden down and dropping Cook down is probably the best thing for their games as well. The question becomes what you do with Shamari, because I think Shamari has been exposed as a nickel, but when they backed him off and put him in a safety role as well, where he had more space to give, his instincts took over and his physicality took over. And he's able to contribute in a way that actually helps the team. And he's a net positive, not a net negative. And so really, I just wish there was just a touch factor to be a true center fielder. But that's what he looked like on that interception. And I think on a couple other plays, I just got to go pull him and make sure that I'm seeing what I think I'm seeing. Because I too have my favorites. And, I let those things do creep in sometimes. So I got to check myself a lot as well. And Darkness, thank you again. Thornton is going to take a grown man's job. Yes, he is. And I'm desperately trying to figure out who that is, because I don't think it can be Juju. And I know it can't be Hollywood. So there's definitely something coming. Ended up getting a couple of interceptions this game. That changed the whole complexion of it. And they did a good job. They got more pressure. They did the things the defense needed to do. Now, there's still a long ways to go. The offensive line is still not complete. While Trey played pretty well, Juwan Taylor is a problem yet again. And if this happens one more time, if it goes 4 straight weeks where he's noticeably got issues, I think they have to start looking at more. And I don't know if this is because of the knee or because he just is stubborn, but lining up in the backfield again is where I draw the line. That's what makes it unacceptable. And my microphone is going off here, folks. I just want to make sure that I still have a little bit of power, and I do, so that's good. I appreciate you guys all being in here and taking some time when I'm just solo and I'm, got people in the room here as we're on the road a little bit. My kids are pretty good at sleeping through when I'm talking, especially when I'm talking to them. So, we'll see how they do after this whole evening. But I do think this was the version of Taekwondo that I was looking for. Now, there's other things. The slant game in particular. You remember when we could see the Chiefs go down in the red zone, and you knew if you had Sammy either to the right of Mahomes or in the slots of Mahomes, that slant was a real possibility. Well, guess what? Tyquan Thornton brought that back. They ran counter tonight. They affected the run game. They simplified the pass game. Hollywood caught a slant. I think Juju did it as well, and Tyquan did it. And then that has a tendency to pull down the defense too, and that helps you get the deep balls. So between he and Xavier, and maybe that's the biggest thing that Tyquan Thornton is doing right now, is he's not just stealing someone's job. He's not taking a man's job. He's helping keep a guy off the field so he can fully heal. Not having to rush Xavier back is probably the best thing that Tyquan Thornton is doing right now. Because if you rush Xavier back, he's one play away from getting hurt for the year again. And that is unacceptable. You have to have him by the time Rasheed gets back. So that's probably Tyquan Thornton's best thing, is he is doing enough to have Xavier worthy heal. And that's going to pay off in spades. And I love that. Thank you for bringing that up, Dark. I hadn't even considered that and what the impact of that is. Places they got to get better. Moving the pocket. Patrick stood in a little bit more, but they had some rollouts where they wanted to separate him from the O-line, and there was just too much leaking. It didn't work well enough. So they still have to get down to that. The run defense, I don't know. Nick Bolton had a very up and down game. Had a couple of nice plays. He did have a TFO. He did bat a pass. But before that, he gave up like 5 runs. And he either missed the tackle, got hung up on the pass, or literally got run over by Scotty once. That's got to improve. Chanel missed a couple of tackles, but I thought he had a pretty solid game as well. I saw Drew Tranquil sticking his face in there early, and that kind of faded. I'm going to have to go back and see what the snap counts were like just to get a feel for that. But I do think that that's going to be something that's important. So most of my notes are I'd say it's about a 60-40 positive tonight, and I will get those sorted out, and I'm going to get the permissions fixed so you guys can all see them. Those of you that are in the memberships, rookie and above, get the notes and get a lot of the special videos. There's still another level above that, the starters, that get the super good stuff, so we'll get to that as well. Dan and I are both going to complete some of those. I'm just looking for a couple of notes. Otherwise, just see if there's anything else that I missed. Oh, Rashard Smith. I like where they're starting to get with him, but I think they got to give him the ball a little bit more. They're using him as a ton of motion distraction, and they threw him a couple of passes, right? What did it come out to? 3, I wanted to say, 3 targets for Smith. No, it was just 1. But he had 2 touches, 2 handoffs. You got to do more of that. I didn't see any pitches, any toss sweeps that I was calling for, and I do think he is the guy that needs to go to. So there's still more room to grow for Rashard Smith. But getting him into the motions, getting him into especially the orbit motions that I do think are going to break him loose, I think that's a good step forward. They're going to have to keep that up. The RPO slant to Hollywood, got to keep that in there. I don't want to go back to an RPO-based offense, but they got to keep the RPOs in it, because right now, without Xavier and Rasheed, it's giving that option to get the ball out and get chunks right now. They're smaller chunks, they're 6, 7, 8 yards, but that moves the chains. And right now, until those guys get back, it is a waiting game to try to make sure that you can still move the ball. So that's where I'm at tonight. Last call for Super Chats, and I will get them answered. If not, then we will be back with Q&A tomorrow. It'll all depend on my flight when I land, whether I'll be participating. Dan definitely will be, so don't miss that. And then I'll have my normal pieces for you throughout the week, as we all will. So I know it's super late. We all got to get to work tomorrow. Enjoy this win, though. Go to bed with a smile on your face, because 1 and 2 is a hell of a lot better than 0 and 3. And while it's not 500 and it's not what we wanted, it is on the way up, and it is someplace to build from. So Dirty just came in with a good one. I think Moore is going to have to get a look if he continues to have another game like he has so far. Yes, and thank you, FLDB, you the man. Appreciate you a ton. And you said it right, a win tonight is what we needed. Have a great night to you guys. Enjoy yourselves, and thanks for being here super late. I appreciate the support. Talk to you next time.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more, and subscribe to RGR Football.